Hello my lovely bookish friends, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to this September wrap-up video. Once again, I can't believe we're here. September's over, we are now in the spooky season, October. Where is this year going? I don't know. Everything just seems to be flying by. Now, if you had saw my poll that I put up on the community, like on YouTube, I said before about whether you guys wanted to keep having these monthly wrap-up videos or whether you wanted me to do them more in kind of seasonal, what I've been reading recently type videos. However, you guys voted to keep this sort of format with the monthly videos, so here we are. I've got to say I'm quite glad, because the idea of having to do like a much bigger update with these books every like kind of 3 months or whatever, that didn't sound great. So I'm very glad we chose to stick with this system. So that being said, let us get to the books.
First up, we have Jane Eyre. This follows Jane Eyre from her days as an unloved orphan at a boarding school to her becoming a governess to the ward of the mysterious Mr. Rochester. This was a reread, and I also annotated this book for the first time, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I hadn't read this book for a long time actually, and I had forgotten just how gothic and descriptive it is. It was such an engaging read, and I couldn't stop reading. I didn't want to stop. It was just so... I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed annotating. There was just so much that I ended up highlighting and writing notes for. And I just highly recommend this book at this time of year, because it's just so full of the gothic and autumnal vibes. It's just the perfect book to get you into this upcoming spooky season. Next, we have My Happy Marriage. This is the light novel version from which the anime by the same name, which is on Netflix, comes from. And it follows Mio, I hope I pronounced her name right, who is the unloved daughter of a noble family in this kind of fantasy set 1930s-esque Japan. And in this world there are these people who have superpowers, like nobles. They all kind of have their own kind of magical abilities, and there are also these kind of monsters that are a bit mysterious and not everyone knows much about. Anyway, Mio seemingly has no supernatural ability, and because of this her family marry her off to this commander who has a very bad rep, and things just kind of go from there. That's probably not the best description, to be honest, but I don't really want to give too much away. I loved the anime, and so I wanted to read the original, and it didn't disappoint. I thoroughly enjoyed the light novels and will be reading the rest once they come out. Light novels, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know or isn't familiar with the term, are longer than short stories, but they're still too short to be considered a traditional novel. It's sort of a genre or writing style that we don't really publish and have so much over here in the UK, but it is popular in Japan and I think also in Korea and China as well. And keeping with My Happy Marriage, I also binged the manga versions as well. The synopsis is the same, it is literally just a manga version of the light novel and the anime, and it's a really nice manga for anyone who is actually trying out the genre for the first time. It's beautifully drawn and the female characters aren't over-sexualised or anything like that. And whilst the love story is a strong element in like the overall plot, as you know, obviously the name suggests, the fantasy aspects are of equal importance, and especially later on, this part becomes more and more important. So there's a bit of something for everybody. Next up, I finally finished the Lockwood & Co. books. I have been putting off this last book because I didn't want the series to end, and oh right, the synopsis before I get ahead of myself. This series follows a group of teenagers who fight against an epidemic of ghosts, and that is a very, very basic synopsis, but I don't want to give anything away. I just love this series, I adore the characters, and it's definitely going to become one of my new comfort series that I reach for whenever I just want something to just sit and enjoy. Oh, skull. Right, I actually do have a reading vlog for this coming out, so I shouldn't say too much, but I just love this series. Please go check it out. Next up, there's another piece of Japanese literature, and it is She and Her Cat. This follows a couple of different people and their cats. It's a bit of a sort of slice of life with cats type novel. It's the type of Japanese lit where not loads happens in terms of plot, but it's like heartwarming in its own way. It's a genre I really like. And this novel is actually written by one of the filmmakers behind one of my favourite movies, the anime Your Name. However, this is very different. Your Name has literally one of the most stressful last 30 minutes I've ever seen in an animated movie, whereas this is a lot more gentle. Lastly, we have a book that I have started but not yet finished, and it is Dracula. This is a classic vampire story, and this is one of those books where I actually can't remember if I've read it before or not. The story is familiar, and as I read it, there's bits that I'm like, oh yeah, I know what comes next and stuff. However, so I studied theatre before, I became an author and everything, and I know I studied the play version of this book, so I actually think I've never read the novel before, and I've just read the play, and I'm mixing the two together. Anyway, I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far, and we'll talk more about it once I finish, and then maybe a reading vlog for this one coming out as well, because I am annotating as I go.
So that was it for my September wrap up, and to be honest, I'm pretty happy with what I read this month. As you can see, I've still not really read anything off that TBR list I said at the start of the year. To be honest, I feel like I'm gonna just have to go, nah. I feel like it's not happening, and I don't think I'm going to do a TBR list for next year, because the moment the books go on that list, it's almost where they go to just be forgotten about. Like, they just go on there and you're definitely not being read. So I feel like I'm kind of a bit of a mood reader. I just like to read what I want to read. If I try and tell myself this is what you've got to read, then I don't want to read them. So I feel like I may just sort of forget that next year, because here we are, we're in September and I've still not read more than, I think literally we've got two off that 12. Yeah, it's not happening now, is it? And so yeah, but I was really happy with the books that I read this month. I just loved My Happy Marriage. I'm literally obsessed with the anime. I love the light novel. I love the manga. I'm just collecting it all. This is what I am. It's like with One Piece. I love the live action. I love the manga. I love the anime. It's just, once I get into something, I like all versions. Now, coming into October, we're moving into more of the spooky books, and I started with, obviously, Jane Eyre's a little bit creepy, but it's not anything too much. But I've got some others that I really want to read this month, especially Dracula, because I really want to read that, and also perhaps Jekyll and Hyde, because I don't think I've ever read that one. If you guys have any other recommendations for books that will be great for sort of this upcoming spooky season, please leave them in the comments below, and also just let me know what you've been reading. I'm always interested about what you guys are reading, what books you recommend. Let me know in the comments below. And that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing, as I have a lot more bookish content to come. So, until next time, my lovely bookish friends, goodbye!